welcome to Saturday Night Live. My name is Sarah Selzer. I'm going to be your host for tonight, and we are with a special guest this evening, Taylor Swift. Everybody give her some love. Taylor, now, why are you on SNL tonight? Let the audience know, let the public know.
So I'm here tonight to talk about one of the most important topics in my life. I was recently just announced as one of Time Magazine's 2017 Silence Breakers.
Oh!
So this is such a great honor for me to have, and I'm very excited to be here. We're going to be talking about women in the workplace tonight. So we're going to hit on some topics about some boss-ass bitches, if you will, and go into a further deconstruction of why these topics are so important. So I'm ready to get started.
All right, let's go!
Welcome, ladies, to our seminar presentation on what's my role in the man's workplace. Do you guys know what the man's workplace looks like at all?
No.
Well, that's what this PowerPoint is going to tell you today. I am here. I am Doug. What are your ladies' names?
I'm very excited to be here. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Nancy.
All right, nice to meet you guys. I got 3 cats at home. They're my best buds. Blossom, Bubbles, and Doug Jr. Yes, hand already know. Why Doug Jr.? Well, because it's just will to dominate the other 2 cats is something unprecedented I've seen. And it reminds me a lot about myself, so that's why I named him after me. You?
I was actually going to ask if there was anything further that we were going to discuss in the PowerPoint.
Oh, okay. So you want to actually learn some stuff. All right, slide 1. Thank you. Rule 1. Let the men be men. All right? History and statistics have proven that the work environment is the most proficient when it's the most masculine. Only men can work cohesively in a sweaty, ball-out environment. Yes, you, Rebecca.
So, what exactly is our role in this company's workplace?
Well, if you would let me finish the presentation, I'm sure my thorough slideshow can help you out. Another question, yes, what's up?
So what are some of the possible roles for us?
Great question, Rebecca. Well, it's kind of hard but simple to answer because the women really don't have a fixed role in the workplace. It's more of a what the man tells the woman to do in the workplace. And it's whatever that man is telling that woman to do in the workplace. Yes, you again.
That didn't really answer my question.
Where's this information from?
From a history created by men, for men, and by men.
I don't think this is the place for me.
No, Rebecca. Becky.
My name is Nancy.
Becky, we're pretty damn safe here.
Well, it seems to me that your company runs on outdated gender roles and somehow have still remained successful even with all of the Me Too movement.
What'd you just say?
Me Too?
Shh. We don't say that around here. All right? Yes, question.
So where do we rank among the multicultural employees?
Another great question, Rebecca. You're on fucking fire today. I'm really appreciating how you're contributing to this company right now. Like her. But anyways, so for colored men, their masculinity trumps your femininity because as progressive white males that this company employs, we don't tolerate racism in this workplace, okay? It's despicable, it has no place. Just want to get that through your heads. All right, we're going to go on to the next slide here. Last but not least, no woman has ever gotten where she is today without being a woman. Now, what does that mean to you?
Hold on. That is the stupidest thing I have ever heard, and we are leaving. Your obvious narcissism and sexism is sickening. No wonder you live alone with 3 cats.
That makes no sense. How can you live alone with 3 cats?
Stacy, come on, we're leaving. Come on!
I really need this job. Like, if I don't, I'll have to like go back to college, or I'll be stuck working in an Arby's with that guy with like 3 weird fingers.
Oh, that guy? He doesn't really do well there.
This is ridiculous.
So, is there anything else I need to know?
The guys take their shits in the 3rd floor bathroom, women's, so you're really only, don't go up there.
Okay.
Welcome to the real world, Alice.
So that was like really stressful what just happened with her. Could I get you a coffee or anything?
Yeah, I think you really learned a lot today. I think you're gonna do well here.
Wow, that was a lot to take in.
It really was. It really was a lot to take in. And, you know, I feel like that really is, while those were very extreme examples, I feel like that really is a sad reality for so many women out in the workforce. And so I think I'm really excited that SNL can use this platform to, you know, reach out to so many women that are experiencing this.
That's the thing. In the sketch, I feel like the main character, Doug, really did not sugarcoat what may or may not happen to women in the workplace, which is technically the sad reality of it. I feel like when women enter the workplace, they're not going to be told, oh, you might get sexually assaulted within the first 3 months as a statistic. And, you know, that's why I feel like we needed to bring that to light in general, because those sort of stereotypes, it is true.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm ready to deconstruct this for the viewers at home.
I am as well. Welcome to Sarah's Social Deconstruction. Let's get this rolling. Let's talk about theorist James Lowell for a second, since he was a very primary theorist in the creation of this sketch. So, in general, he talks about how hegemony, in general, is the power and the dominance that one social group has over the other. And I feel as though hegemonic tropes were definitely seen within this sketch.
Totally.
What do you think, Taylor?
I mean, I feel like there was just very obvious hegemony between just the males and females within the room. There was just so much that was done, especially I'm sure just within the writer's room, just to completely set apart Doug from Stacy and Nancy. And I mean, even just in the way that the video was produced, you can see the 2 women are constantly seen sitting down, so they're physically inferior of Doug, who's standing the whole time, and who is also seen as the only male in the room. So he's already asserting his dominance without any words that he's even saying, and I think that that's really crucial for people to view at home, that even dominance can happen within just nonverbal cues.
Physical presence, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And getting into the physical cues as well, we see that when we deconstruct this a little bit more, he interrupts them, he calls them the wrong name, he talks about the fact at the end that the male's only like shit in the 3rd floor stall. You know, it's little subtle jabs like that, verbally as well as physically, that we're talking about, that really encompass the whole hegemonic theme of this. And speaking of the writer's room, like you had mentioned before, I would love to pre-tense a question with a quote from someone of the writer's room that is not a woman, is a man.
Let's hear it.
So this is by Daily Hager. He is part of the writer's room, and he said in 2011, if you're not comfortable with sexual humor or crudeness, or with all sorts of people being really honest about certain emotions, then yeah, this job isn't for you. So following up with that quote, within the writer's room, how do you think the characters in the sketch were constructed, and how do you feel about that?
I mean, I think there were very obvious frames that went into the construction of these characters, specifically of Stacy, Nancy, and Doug. I think, you know, you see Doug, who is this very obvious hyper-masculine, authoritarian figure within the writer's room, both physically and in his body language and the actual verbal discourse that he uses when he's talking about this. And then you see Stacy, who is very subordinate to him. She's very just willing to kind of give into that role that he is, you know, trying to talk about and trying to assert. But then you see Nancy, who's trying to hold Doug accountable for the problematic discourse that he's engaging in, and is trying to, you know, force upon both Stacy and Nancy within this place of employment that he even goes as far as to reference as the house. And I think referencing one of my favorite articles, you can see Fist's 3 codes of structural meaning in this very easily. And so you see the reality of Doug's, his body language, the way he's physically asserted over the women, as I touched on before. And then you can kind of see how that builds into a representation of how he's automatically, you know, more dominant over them. Also bringing into consideration the things he's actually saying. So hinting at things like, sexual favors in the workplace just to keep your employment or even, move upwards. You don't really want to get into the details of that, but you see Stacey offering him a cup of coffee, and at that point you kind of have to ask yourself as a viewer, is there really a cup of coffee? And for many women, it's not, which is extremely problematic. And though that is a sad reality, I think this is something that's very important to touch on, because as long as there's a dialogue, we can talk about it and we can move forward and progress. And as we move forward from the representations that we saw in this sketch, you can then move on to the ideology. So you can see that it is a very patriarchally focused sketch. And unfortunately enough, especially in different fields like economics, for example, or even politics still, it is very male dominated. And so when you see these hyper real situations, you can kind of ask yourself once again as a viewer, how does this relate to my actual reality within my social sphere and my employment? And you can take it back to those places of employment or just your day-to-day interactions and use sketches like this, because they do get to reach so many viewers at home, and use it as an educational tool of, okay, how can I identify these red flag moments and how can I hold myself and others around me accountable?
Yes, and I agree 120%. I think that actually bringing to light these satirical aspects of how women in the workplace are truly treated should give viewers at home even though this was from a satirical standpoint, this actually happens. There are glaring discrepancies between the social world of representations of, class and gender, like you were talking about, in identity, in the media, and popular culture. So we have to step back and we have to understand, how are we going to let our identity be seen within media? And is it true or is it not true? Who is telling these stories? It needs to be women who are telling these stories, not men who are telling these stories that talk about our identity within media. We need to take back and reclaim our identity as feminists. And that's why we brought you on this show today, because we knew that you'd be such a strong voice for the viewers at home.
And thank you so much for having me. I've had a great time.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming to Saturday Night Live. Thank you so much, Dr. G. We really appreciate it. Everybody in the class, we appreciate you coming out tonight to see us. We hope you get home safe and have a good night.